years with organizing artists and supporting people on their artistic journey. She's really been a community resource, and I'm very happy that she has come to join us here tonight. So welcome, Carol. That poem on it. And recently I went to a reading at Timothy Young's place, and Tim had also done a Mississippi River poem, and he knew that Susu had done her M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I, so he made sure that he changed the intonations on the song. So it went something like M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I.
M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. That's very male of him.
Well, he changed it, so we've got a couple of Mississippi River ones circulating. I wanted to give a special thanks to Carol Bessler back there for working with me tirelessly for many hours on trying to get everybody's bio information together and running off such nice flyers and helping us out. So Carol, thank you for working with me. I also wanted to thank the other organizers who I know worked very hard. This is a tremendous undertaking. Liz and Diane and the other women that are involved in this, the different groups. It's been a lot of work for you, and I want to thank you for including poetry and dance with the other arts here tonight. It's a very special evening. Thank you. I found with this topic that I didn't really have as many poems specifically about water as I thought. There were certain poems that made reference to it, but as I often do before a gig, I started writing poems about water. Just the last couple of days, I tend to do well with deadlines. So I do. So I have a new one here for you tonight. But I also looked at an old one that was performed 20 years ago now at a Clean Water Action benefit that was held in Minneapolis. And I realized that most of that poem was written in support of groups of people coming together with a common cause, accomplishing things. And it was also written in trying to prevent nuclear waste storage casks being put on Prairie Island, which was 20 years ago. So for this reading, I just wanted to read a short excerpt with a few thoughts about water from that poem. Spirit is behind all manifestation, our bodies mostly water, born from water and spirit, amniotic, star-filled, unlimited vision fluid, scuttling out of unknown depths of ancient dark seas, algae, coral, jellyfish, starfish, whale. When I was a child, my father would take me hiking in the mountains to a spring. He would have me cup my hands and drink. He said, this is water as it was created by God and is electromagnetically loaded. This will recharge your body and heal you. Under a microscope, polluted molecules of water appear different. A certain cut of crystal put in water, charged with prayer and intent, can change the molecular structure of water. Scientifically proven, the effects last after the crystal is removed. Water, the water at Lourdes, the water in the cactus that will save your life in the desert. Holy water. I also was very touched by the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto. If you're not familiar with his work, he has a number of books out. There was an international water conference here in Minneapolis 5 years ago in the Eisenhower Hopkins Community Center, and Dr. Emoto spoke. Many of us were very inspired by his work, and the Body Prayers dancers and some of us also spoke at that gathering. I would certainly encourage people checking out his work. Paths to gratitude. Shivering, huddled in my sleeping bag on the hard floor of the three-sided wooden shelter on Isle Royal, listening in shock to the constant thundering wall of sound relentlessly roaring all night long. How could little birds, butterflies, anyone on the water survive? Alone in the wilderness, I stepped outside briefly in poncho. On the distant peninsula through fog, wind, light flashing off and on, like a hand you grasp and trust when all else fails, a lighthouse in the storm, and all the paths that lead back to deeper gratitude. To turning on running water from a faucet in the tiny Voyager rooms in the East Bay Hotel in Grand Marais, Minnesota, before it was renovated, a desk, a bed, running water from a sink, a flush toilet, and a hot shower down the hall, hot water cascading over the body in its waterfall, assuring us of cleansing. We will be able to wash away the dirt, muck, the anger, the disappointment, tiredness, the grieving. We will be renewed. Water has been given a big job, carrying all our negativities downstream. Perhaps huge storms release this energy, evaporation another, transformation. Our water here, our lakes, Harriet and Calhoun, the Mississippi, St. Croix, Lake Superior, our 10,000 lakes, circle the planet and return to us. And how will we greet this water? That was a new one, hot off the press, that was called Paths to Gratitude. I'll close with one that is published in the Bedford Poets. It's a turtle poem, but I thought, well, turtles live in water, and there are varying myths about turtles. And I wanted to share this for Darlene, because I don't know if she's heard this one before. It's called Grandmother Turtle on the Rainy Freeway. A great muscular strength arched a shell upward slowly midst speeding oblivious cars, churning sprays of water on the rainy freeway. I stretched my eyes to glimpse her, then something hit my heart. I had to go back. I took the next exit, turned around, exited, turned around again, praying she was still alive. There, just before the 694 exit, a sturdy, steady claw reached forward into the headlights of the oncoming semi. A giant snapper! She was 2 feet in diameter, ancient, like a mountain range or a volcano suddenly rising in the middle of our lateral driving. I don't know if the turtle was terrified or disoriented, or if it had lived near freeways long enough to be used to roaring, rumbling, shaking. It moved steadily, seemingly courageous, into the lights rushing toward it. I threw a towel over her, picked her up mid-shell, and carried her off the road through long grass into a gully. She lunged then, twice, with her powerful head and jaws a slow recoil and fast snap outwards at whatever held her. I put her down then, with a creek running in the distance, went home and wept. Creation myths of turtles carrying us, this world, on their backs. And I believe also out of the Great Flood. A month later, in the Ogden Lakota Museum in Chamberlain, South Dakota, a sculpture of a tall, slim woman carrying a baby in her arms, standing on the back of a large, snapping turtle. Thank you. I'd like to introduce an old friend of mine who's taught at MCAT and organized many events and readings in this area for a long time, and also did some radio with me on KFI for a couple years. Linda Wayne.